Part 1. Read these words. See, see, shoe, shoe, zip, ship, as, raz, rush, push, push, shit, show, washing, Swedish, shawl, shake machine, English, shop, show, special, strong, shut, finish, children sure, wish, demonstrations, televisions, treasure, courage, casual clothes, pivot, Asia, measuring tape, unusual collision, sheep, chips, sheep, tip, cherry, cherry, chop, chop, cash, catch, wash, watch, children, Hatter shop, Miss Church, Chickaway, Chum, Chops, Match, Cheshire, Shoulder, Witch, Cheaper, a delicious chicken, Choose, Children's lunch, Orange juice, Rich child, Witch job, Village jail, Watch chain, collect cheese, large gentleman, witch chair, large cherries, hog jump chair, how much cheese, teach German. Part 2. Read this text. More US adults who do not already have a children are saying they are unlikely to ever have them. A new Pew Research Center survey finding the cold draw renew attention to the risk of declining birth rates for industrialized nations. Experts are concerned that the U.S. birth rate, which had declined for the sixth straight year, may not full enough population grow up in its own to keep the future economy afloat on a found social program. Women between the age of 18 to 49 and men between 18 and 59 who say they are not parents were asked the question, think about the future. How likely is it that you will have a children someday? In October, 26% of them say it is very likely, a 6-point drop from 2080 when a 32% has answered very likely. Meanwhile, the share of Americans who answered not too likely in 2021 grew to 21% compared to 16% in 2080. When asked for a reason, 56% of the children adults who said is not or not too likely they will have ever children said because they just don't want them. That is changed from in 2018 when 63% of children adult in this category said it was because they had no desire for children. This time around 43% other reason, including medical issue, economic and financial reason, and lack of partner, have out the quicksands how the child case care crisis is keeping moms out of work. When the pandemic led to lack of child care, single mothers like Denise Tyre were left in the lurch, unable to work. Coupled with the recent release of federal democratic data, this poll points this long-term evolution in parenthood trend in the United States. The spiraling pause of child care, healthcare, and education, along with the global instability, including the coronavirus pandemic and the climate change, could all be contributing to broader broader change in attitudes to marriage and priority in life. U.S. birth rate falls in the lowest level in decade in wake of pandemic. In April, this Census Bureau reported that in the last decade, the U.S. population grew at the second for rate slowest rate for any 10 years period since the nation's founding. Pew surveyed 3,866 parent and non-parent online in late October as a part of broader study of nearly 10,000 U.S. adults, known as the American Trans Panel Survey. Those who those who said have no children were asked to rate their desire to have them in the future, while adults who said they already have children were asked to rate their likelihood and having more. The same of the same questions were asked in similar poll Pew conducted in late July or to early August 2018, enabling a comparison of trend over time. There was no difference based on gender in response among parents and non-parents. According to Pew, men and women are equally likely to say they will probably not have kids or more in the future. There was a difference based on age, however, with adult the hair uh, 14, 40, 40 far more likely than younger adults to say they are likely to have any more children in the future. The Biden administration has attempted to tackle some of the roadblocks, roadblocks, the higher fertility drop in roughly in 2 trillion dollars Build Back Better bill, which recently passed the House and is now moving to the Senate. The bill includes funding for a universal pre-K as well as the first national paid family and medical leave program. Part 3. Read the story. She was walking lazily for the first April sun was directly overhead. Her umbrella blocked it rays, but nothing blocked the heat absorbed around. Will heat crosses you with its energy. A few buffalo were tethered under coconut, browsing the perch first. Occasionally, car went past, leaving the street in the melting pitch like a wake of a ship at sea. Otherwise, it was quiet, and she saw no one. In her long white Sunday dress, you might have taken Ginny Narine for a 14 or 15. In fact, she was 12 and happy and uncomplicated. Child with a nature as open as the red hibiscus that decorate her black, with lang hair. Generation earlier, her family had come Trinidad from India over the years on the sugar plantations. Her father had had some success drug buying and clearing land around Rio Cristalino and planting it with coffee. On this dusty first 20 yards ahead, a car pulled up. She had noticed a crease by once before, but she did not recognize it and could not make out the driver through its dark windows, themselves as black as gleaming paintwork. As she walked past and the driver glasses started to open. "Hello, Ginny," she heard behind her. She paused and turned. A slight color rose beneath her dusky skin. Rafi Kirjani was tall and lean, at least well dressed. His black eyes and large with teeth flashed in the sunlight as he spoke. Everyone in Rio Cristalino knew Ravi. Ginny often heard his unmarried sister talk ruefully of him, of of how if only their father were alive and they still had line. One of them might marry him, and then they would squabble over who it might be and laugh at Ginny because she was too simple for any man to want. How, how do you know my name, Ravi? She asked with drill. How do you how do you know mine? Everyone know your name. You are Miss Kirjani soon, right? And where are you going, Ginny? She hesitated and looked down at the ground again. To Capel, she said a faint smile. But Ginny could Hindus at go to temple. Her rich culture voice was gently mocking as his added with a, with love. Or maybe the temple pandits aren't you taste in color. She blossomed more deeply at the reverence or Father Olivier. She did not know how to reply. It was true that she lacked the young friend's prize, with his funny accent and blue eyes, but she had been going to Catholic chapel for a month before arrived. She loved a cheerful hymn on and its celebrate one of God. One of God is so different from those miserable Hindu gods who squabble with each other like her assistant at home, but added to that familiarity, Rafi's remark bewildered her because his family were known their breeding for their breeding. People always said Rafi would be a man of honor like his father. Rafi looked suddenly grave. His dark skin seemed of even darker. It may be the had regretted his words. Possibly he saw the confusion his genius wide brown eyes. In any case, he did not wait for an answer. Can I offer you a lift to Capital in my 21st birthday present? He asked, putting his second sunglasses back on. She noticed how thick their frames were, real gold, and she talked like the big fat watch on his wrist. It's Mercedes from Papa. Do you like it? He added nonchalantly. From the shade of her umbrella, Ginny peered up at small lawn cloud that hung motionless above them. The sun was beating down mercilessly, and there was a arch in the air and overpowering sense of growth. With a handkerchief, she whipped, she whipped the sweat from her forehead. Rafi gave a tug in this, and his collar. It's air and it's air conditioned, Ginny, and you want to be late for Keppel? He continued reading her mind, but Keppel must have been the last thing Rafi mind when the genie, after a moment hesitation, accepted his offer, for he drove her instead to quiet sugar field outside town, town, and there, with the Mercedes Council among the sugar canes, they introduced himself into her. Ginny was in days, young as she was. She barely understood what was happening to her. The beat of calypso filled her ears, and the sugar chains towered over you as the cool draught for air conditioner played against his new afterwards clutching the rich flower that had been torn from her hair. She lay among the tall, sweet-smelling canes of soap until the brief tropical twilight turned to starry night. But she told no one, not even Father Olivier. 2 weeks later, the little marketon in Rio Castellino was alive with gossip. Rafi Kirjani had been promised the hand of Sanita Morpalini. Like this, Kirjani Morpalini were an established Indian family, one of the wealthiest in the Caribbean, but will the Kirjani were diplomats and the Morplanis were a commercial family. They had made their fortune in diplomat retailing long before the collapse in oil price had emptied the customer pocket. And now Merpellini stores were scattered throughout Trinidad and some of the other island prudently they had diversified into the banking and insurance, and as a result, their influence was felt at the highest level. It was a benevolent influence, of course, never abused, for the people always said the more plains were the respectable family and well above the reproach. They had a house, a port of Spain, of Tobago and Barbados, as well as in England and India, but their main residence was a magnificent sprawling colonial style mansion just the mount of Rio Castanilo. The arranged marriage will be social even of the following year. When the genie heard of Ravi's engagement to London, she had conceived for him grew into the sort of numberhead. She was sun-haunted, belonging to repay that heartless, arrogant brute. She would give anything to humiliate him, to see that leading conceited grin whipped from his face, but outwardly she was unmoved. On weekdays she went to school, and on Sunday she went still to Father Olivier afternoon service. Girl, you sure does have a lot to confess to had, really? Her mother could say to her each time she came home late from Capel. He's not a witty, he's a man of God. There is maybe child, but don't forget he doesn't be a man first. The mother passed, she did not see Ravi again, and then it rained. Although, although August, the rain hardly stopped. In the rather persistently on, persistently on the galvanized roof in until you thought you would go the mad with the noise. And it happened stop. Their air was a sticky, a trickle, and you're afraid for it to rain again. The one day in October, toward in the end of the wet season, when the Genie family were celebrating her only brother's 18th birthday, something happened that she had been dreading for weeks. She was lying in the hammock of the balcony, playing with her 6 years old nephew Penny. Suddenly, Penny cried out, "Genie, why are you so fat?" Drag out the little frame house all celebrating stopped. On the balcony, curious eyes were turned upon Genie, and you could see what the boy meant. "Could have mercy on you, Virginia, what the shape of your belly!" cried the Mr. Narin, exploding with indignation and pulling her doctor indoors, away from the prying neighbor ears. Her voice was loud and hard. There was a blackness in her eye like a blackness of the skies before thunder. How could she have been so blind? She cursed herself for it. Harsh question burst from her lips. "Who does you bring such shames, you banasker? What a worthless lie about those you throw yourself upon. What a man what a man will have you know, no decent man. This that does be sir, but why does you blacken your father the name like this at your age? The man as didn't even like to see your barn. Thank the thank the gods, thank the gods he didn't have to know of this. You sure got some explaining to to your precious man of God, chill." At least her words were exhausted, and she sat down heavily, her weak heart pounding dangerously and her chest heaving from the exertion of her outburst. The genie told her mother of the afternoon that Ravi Kirjani had raped her. There was a long silence after that. All you could hear was Miss Naryn wheezing. When at last she spoke, her words were heavy and disjointed. "If anybody have to get damnation, that Kirjani boy will get it," she said. Ginny, sister were awestruck. "She shall we take her over to the health center, ma?" asked Indra. "The midwife comes today. It's you crazy girl. You all just know how the women does run she mouth like a dog bottom. You will leave this to me. The night is Miss Naring." Miss Naring took her young doctor to see Dr. Khan, an old friend of her husband, whose discreting she could count on. There was no doubt about it. The child was pregnant. "It was can us do, Dr. Katlan?" asked Miss Narin. "Marry her off, quick as you can." The lean up doctor replied bluntly. Miss Narin scoffed. "Who could take her now, doctor? I just beg you. There ain't nothing you can do for us. Welcome the breeze. Welcome the breeze. Welcome breeze came through the slats of the sugary window. Outside, you could hear the shrill, persistent sound of cicadas, while mosquitoes crowded of the screen, attracted by the bar, pulled over the simple desk. Dr. Khan sicked a parrot over the frames of his glasses. Then he lowered his voice and spoke wearily, wearily, like a man who said the same thing many times. I might arrange, I might arrange something for the baby on its birth, but must be born, my dear. Your doctor is slimly built. She young, a child herself. To you she looks apparently 3 months pregnant. Don't fool yourself. If the dates she given us are correct, in 3 months she will be full term. Anything anything now will be too messy. And if you and if it's born, asked Miss Nerin falteringly, and if it's born, what does happen then? No, ma, I wanna eat anyway. I want to keep it, said the genie gently. Don't be a fool, child. It's my baby, ma. I want to have it. I want to keep it. And who'll look after you and buy for the baby, even if Kirjani does agree to pay? What does you hope to marry? I will marry. Don't worry. You will marry? You just have a fool. You just be a fool. Who will you marry? Kirjani. Kirjani, ma. Is going to marry Rafi Kirjani. Dr. Khan gave the chuckle. So your doctor is not such a fool as you think, he said. I told you to many her off. And the Kirjani boy worked and tried. What does she have to lose? She too, she's too clever. So Rafi Kirjani was confronted the pregnant genie and reminded of that Sunday afternoon in the dry season when the canes were ready for harvesting. To surprise of the Nereans, he did not argue at all. He offered at once Mary Genie. It may be that, for him, it was a welcome opportunity to escape on a connubial arrangement for which he had little appetite. appetite. Tuxnida Merpellini indisputably had a background. Nobody ever pretended that she had looked, or possibly he foresaw awkward police questions that might have been difficult to answer. Once the fruit of his desires saw the light of day, Miss Nirin was staggered. Even Ginny was surprised and how little persistent he put off. Perhaps, she thought with the wry smile, he's not really so bad. Whatever his reason, you had to admit Rafi acted honorably, and so did the Marpellini family. If privately they felt their humiliations keenly, publicly, the board the it we bore it with composure, and people were amazed that they remained of speaking terms with the man who had insulted one of their women, broken her heart. Sunita, five brothers, even invited to Rafi to spend a day with them at this seaside villa in Mayoro, and as Rafi had been a friend of family all his life, he saw no reason to refuse. The Marpellini brother chose of Tuesday for the outing. There was little point in going at the weekend when the working people littered the beach. and one of their Land Rover for 20 miles drive from Rio Cristalino. They were in high spirit and joked with Rafi while their servant stowed cold chicken and salad beneath the rear bench seats and packed in ice boxes with the beer and portion room. Then they scanned the sky for clouds and congratulated, 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 congratulated themselves on choosing such a fine day. Surat and his eldest brother looked at his watch and his feet shifted uneasily as he said, "It's time to hit the road." His brother gave a laugh and clambered on board. It was out sardonic launch. The hardtop Land Rover cruised through Rio Cristalino and the crossroad at the town center. Already the market traders were pitching their roadside stall and erecting great canvas umbrellas to shield them from sun and rain. The promise, the promise of commerce was the air, and the trader looked about especially as they loaded their stall with the fresh mango or put the finishing touches to display a giant turnip east toward Mayro, and a moment later was passing the cemetery on the edge town. The road to the coast was busy with the traffic in both directions, still crying produce to market and the frequent bends up puddle made the journey slow. At last on the uphill bit on the reflector start like a trumfall and the early morning sun flashed through the coconut palms. Suddenly a terrible this happened. The rear down the Land Rover swung open and Ravi Kirjani tumbled off, falling the helplessly beneath and the wheels of heavily laden truck. And the inquest, the coroner has acknowledged the nature and extent of Ravi injuries made it impossible to determine whether he was killed instantly, the fall of sequentially by the truck, but it was clear at least he felt Ravi had been alive. When he fell from the Land Rover, the verdict dead to the misadventure. 3 days later, Ravi remained were cremated according to Hindu rite. As usual, a crowd of people from all over Trinidad, distant relatives, all classmates, anyone claiming even the most tenuous connection connection with the dead man came to mourn and the riverside pyre outside Mayaro. Some of them were convinced that they could see in Ravi's death and hands of God, and they pointed the evidence to the grey sky and the unseasonal rain. But the flame divide the rain and have a tumbling, and stench of burning flesh filled the air. A few spoke darkly, murder. Did know the Morplane have a compelling motive? And not by chance did have opportunity and the mean, but the mostly that agreed that it was tragic accident. It made little difference that it was Morplane truck that had finished Ravi off. Morplane truck were everywhere. That they washed us. The age were thrown into the muddy Otoyer River, soon to be lost in the warm water in Atlantic. Anyway, said one of mourner with shrug. Who are we ask questions. The police closed their files on the case before the boy was cold, and he shook the last of the rain from his umbrella and slapped impatiently at the mosquito. You might have thought that the shock of a rapid death would have included Ingenie premature delivery, but quiet the reverse. She attended she attended she attended in a quest and she mourned at the funeral. The unexpected death came and when 6 more weeks elapsed before Ginny, by no 13, gave birth to a soon a public maternity hospital in San Fernando. When they saw the baby, the nurse glanced anxiously and at each other. Then they took him away without letting Ginny see him. Eventually, they returned without Doctor a big crow would assume his most unreal bedside manner to reassure Ginny the baby was well. It's true, he's a little pasty, my dear, he said, and nurse placed the baby Ginny arms. But you see, there will be the late delivery, and don't forget you are very young. You have both you have both both have both had a rough time. What a day, 3 day. His eyes will turn. He will soon have a healthy color. Ginny looked into her sound blue eyes and kissed them. And I and 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 in doing so, a tremendous feeling of tiredness suddenly came over her. They were so very, very blue, so like Father Oliver. She she shook the irony of it all. It wasn't it all. Was the cruelly doctor really so stupid? Surely he knew as well as she did that the pallid look could never go.